For the first time in just over 2 years, we finally have an update on the Apple Watch Ultra. This is the brand new Apple Watch Ultra 3, and I've been wearing it for the last week to find out whether this watch is actually worth it. And not only whether it's worth it on its own as an $800 watch, but whether it's worth it against the Apple Watch Ultra 2, which maybe you already own, or if you're deciding between the SE, the Series 11, and the Ultra 3. So in today's video, I answer all your questions and hopefully make your buying decision a little bit easier. To start things off, let's just jump right in with the price point. The Apple Watch Ultra 3 starts at $799, and that's if you get the basic Alpine Loop or some of the other loop options that are essentially free. If, however, you decide to upgrade to the Milanese Loop, that's an extra $100, making this not an $800 watch, but instead a $900 watch, which is a lot. I mean, it's not a lot compared to like a Rolex, but it is a lot for a smartwatch. That being said, if you plan to wear your Apple Watch Ultra 3 every single day as not only a health tracker and a smartwatch, but also as a fashion accessory, it's not crazy to spend the extra $100 on a watch band that you prefer. But as the name Ultra might suggest to you, the Apple Watch Ultra is definitely the most expensive of all the current Apple Watch offerings. But the question is, does the Apple Watch Ultra 3 live up to the $800 price point? In today's video, we're gonna find out. So like last year, the Apple Watch Ultra 3 comes in two different colors. There's black and natural titanium. This is my Apple Watch Ultra 2. I've had it since the Apple Watch Ultra 2 first came out, when there was only natural titanium as a color option. Last year, rather than updating the internals or any of the specs, they just added a new color, which was black. I didn't feel the need to upgrade last year, so I didn't, and because of that, I stuck with the natural titanium. This year, though, with the Ultra 3, there are some improvements, which we'll talk about, so I did decide to opt for the black color because I wanted to try something a little bit different. And now that I have them both, maybe it's recency bias, but I do kind of think I prefer the black color. I think it's a little bit sleeker. I think it's a little bit more, I don't know, it's nice. I really like it. When it comes to the external dimensions of the Ultra 2 versus the Ultra 3, they're relatively unchanged. They look almost exactly the same. Now, there are some minor differences, which we will talk about, but at a glance, they look identical. They both only come in one case size, which is 49 millimeters, making them the largest Apple Watch that you can buy. That hasn't changed between the Ultra 2 to the Ultra 3. What has changed, though, is the manufacturing techniques used to create the case. The Apple Watch Ultra 2 was milled out of a piece of titanium, which is very lightweight and very durable metal. It's perfect if you're taking it for outdoor adventures, hikes, or just banging your arm into things because it doesn't show wear. I've had this watch for the last 2 years and it still looks basically brand new. I don't really see any dents or dings or anything on it. Now, the Apple Watch Ultra 3 still comes with a titanium case. However, the difference is that it wasn't milled out of a piece of titanium. Instead, it's made up of 50% recycled titanium, and it's actually 3D printed. Now, I'm a huge 3D printing nerd. I love 3D printing. If you guys checked out my sneaker channel at all, my main channel, I've done like whole series on 3D printing shoes. I just released an official 3D printed shoe with my brand and Zellerfeld, this 3D printed shoe company. Check out the video I did on this channel too if you're interested in that at all. But 3D printing is one of the new technologies that I'm just fully for. And the fact that Apple is actually 3D printing their products now is incredible. First of all, there's no layer lines, so you wouldn't even realize that it's 3D printed. And second of all, it allows this case to be a little bit lighter. The case itself, the internals are a bit heavier, so the watch itself is a bit heavier, but it allows the case to be a little bit lighter because they don't have to use as much metal because now they can print metal exactly where they need it. And it also allows for a larger space inside the case, so you get a larger battery. Essentially, what 3D printing allows you to do is manufacture a product without worrying about undercuts and standard problems that you have with molding and milling. And again, the fact that you can't even tell that the Apple Watch 3 is 3D printed because there's no layer lines, it looks indistinguishable from the Apple Watch Ultra 2, is incredible. That just goes to show that 3D printing technology is here and it's being used in real products, and it's incredible. So at this point, we've talked about a lot of the similarities between the Apple Watch Ultra 2 and the Apple Watch Ultra 3. Now let's talk about some of the differences. Differences that might make you decide to go with an Apple Watch Ultra 3 instead of an Apple Watch Ultra 2, or maybe even upgrade from your Apple Watch Ultra 2. The first is the brand new, larger LTPO3 OLED display. Now, when I say larger, it is a very minor difference. You go from 410 pixels by 502 pixels to 422 pixels by 514 pixels. The bezel's smaller, and honestly, on black watch faces or on any screen that isn't like a bright color next to the edge of the bezel, you might not even notice the difference in size, but it is there. It's nice. It's nice that they made the bezel smaller and the screen bigger. That's always a plus. The biggest change, though, is the new screen technology, the LTPO3 OLED display. Now, that's actually a display that's been used on the Series 10 Apple Watch and now the Series 11 Apple Watch. It's not new technology, but it is new for the Apple Watch Ultra 3. Now, what that display allows you to do is in always-on mode, because it is an always-on display, you can actually see the seconds hand because it refreshes faster than the previous display. So if you're using an analog watch face that has a seconds hand, you can see it now in always-on mode. It sounds very niche, but it is something that is nice. It's a nice plus. It's a nice bonus. And overall, it is a nicer display. Not only that, the new display on the Apple Watch Ultra 3 is actually the brightest display on any Apple Watch, and now it gets up to 3,000 nits of peak brightness. So the display on the Apple Watch Ultra 3 is definitely an upgrade over the Apple Watch Ultra 2, and it's also the largest and technically best display that you can get on an Apple Watch, even though the Series 11 screen is the same technology, it's just smaller. Another change between the Ultra 2 and the Ultra 3 is the S10 chip. The Ultra 3 now comes with a faster chip, which yes, can be found in other Apple Watches like the Series 11. However, it is newer and it is better than the chip in the Apple Watch Ultra 2. Last year, we didn't have a chip upgrade for the Ultra line because we just got a new color and not new internals. So this time around, this Apple Watch is faster. Now, is it noticeably faster? Is it faster to a point where you'll be like, wow, my apps are running better on the new version? No, but that's because you're not really doing too many like intensive tasks on your Apple Watch. That being said, now your watch is up to date when it comes to power. It runs watchOS 26, which you can run on the Ultra 2, but it runs a little bit smoother technically on the Ultra 3. Your watch is gonna last you longer because the chip will be newer for longer, so there's a plus. Instead of having a 2-year-old chip, you're gonna have a brand new chip. It's not a huge deal now, but if you plan to keep your watch for a very long time, the Ultra 3's newer processor is a plus. You've got a new watch face on the Ultra 3, which I like a lot. It's basically a compass. It shows you where your home is, where your destination is. You've got a bunch of complications that you can edit yourself. I've gone with my rings, my activity rings, my battery percentage, the date, and then my alarms, because I use my Apple Watch to sleep a lot, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But all around, it's a really cool looking and very useful watch face. Is it better than the watch face that I used to use on my old Apple Watch? In terms of functionality, they're both similar. The fact that the Ultra line sort of differentiates itself from some of the other Apple Watch lines because of their exclusive watch faces, I get it. It's not a reason to buy an Apple Watch Ultra over a regular Apple Watch. It's just something that if you have it, sure, it's a nice to have. But now we get to the biggest upgrade, in my opinion, between the Apple Watch Ultra 2 and the biggest advantage that it has over any of the other Apple Watches, and that is the brand new super long battery life. The Apple Watch Ultra 3 now has a 42-hour battery life, which is almost 2 days, which is very impressive, and I've tested it myself for the last week. It's incredible. The Ultra 2 came with closer to a 36-hour battery life, which was decent, but it's still not as nice as 42 hours. You get a good amount of extra hours there, which is a huge plus. It also now comes with even faster charging, so you can actually get 12 hours of battery life in 15 minutes worth of charging, which is amazing. You can also charge up your battery to about 80% in 45 minutes, which also is great. And what I love most about the Apple Watch Ultra 3 is the fact that I could throw this on the charger when I'm in the shower and be good to go for the entire day. Like, I wear this watch to sleep and I wear this watch during the day. So there's not a lot of unbroken periods where I can throw my Apple Watch on the charger and let it sit for a couple hours. The only time I take it off is like if I want to spend time with my family and not be distracted by any sort of tech. That's really it. Yeah, okay, also the shower, even though this is water resistant, we'll talk about that in a second. I don't wear it in the shower. So there really isn't a lot of times where I throw it on the charger. So the fact that I can throw it on the charger for like 15 minutes or 45 minutes and get, a huge battery boost is honestly a really big plus. Realistically, that's one of the main differentiators for me between the Apple Watch Series 11 and the Apple Watch Ultra 3. The Series 11, great overall watch, has a lot of the same tech, we'll talk about that in a bit, but the battery life just isn't as good. And so when I want to wear this for sleeping and for exercising and for just day-to-day wear, it's nice to have a watch that I'm never worried about it dying. And even compared to the Apple Watch Ultra 2, it is noticeable the battery difference. It's really impressive. Now, I don't know if that's because the S10 chip is more efficient. I would assume that it's a little bit of that, but I also think it's because they were able to 3D print the case and put a larger battery in because they were able to be more efficient with the metal placement. Like they were able to put metal where they wanted to put metal and not have to kind of be stuck with the milling constraints. Like when you mill something, you have a little drill, kind of drills in and can only drill at certain angles, and because of that, there's probably metal in areas that they don't want metal. I don't know for sure, but that makes a lot of sense. I've actually worked in product design and industrial design for years. I've actually had products that I've designed, manufactured, and made, whether it's kitchenware or dog toys or now socks, and I've learned that there's genuinely a lot of constraints when it comes to manufacturing. One of them, which sounds stupid but it's true, physics. If you can't fit a drill bit at a certain angle, you literally can't make that thing in that way. You have to do it a different way. 3D printing doesn't have those constraints. You literally print in layers, so you can print whatever you want. It makes things a lot easier, a lot simpler, and a lot more efficient. So the fact that they 3D printed this is probably one of the reasons why they were able to make the battery life longer. I guess since we're talking about the case and durability, let's talk about water resistance. The Apple Watch Ultra 3 is water resistant up to 100 meters, which is incredible. It's also able to be dived with up to 40 meters, and it's also IP6X dust resistant. So all around, it's an incredibly durable watch, and it is marketed towards people who are diving, who are swimming, who are going on active hikes, on adventures, things like that. And that's one of the reasons why it's got this very durable and lightweight titanium case, as well as that really great water resistance. It's a similar spec to the Ultra 2, but it is slightly better in a lot of different ways. One of the biggest reasons that you would get an Apple Watch is for health tracking, and the Apple Watch Ultra 3 is still an excellent health tracker. It's a great sleep tracker. I literally wear my Apple Watch Ultra, whether it's the 2 or the 3, in bed with me every night. I have like years worth of data when it comes to sleep tracking, and I found that it probably is the best sleep tracker that I've ever used. I have like every one of the smart rings. I've got the Oura ring, I've got the Ultra Human ring, I've got the Ring-Con, I've also got the Pulse Band. I just got that in and dropped the video a couple days ago. I haven't finished testing that one yet. It's been really great, but the Apple Watch Ultra 3, honestly, out of every band or watch or ring that I've worn, has the best sleep tracker. And to be fair, that's kind of true across all of the Apple Watch watches, at least the more premium ones like the Series 11 or the Apple Watch Ultra 3. The sleep tracking is amazing, and it gives you a lot of really great insights. For example, you've got this graph here that shows you your awake time, your REM sleep, your core sleep, and your deep sleep. I have a young child, so I'm waking up quite often at night, as you can see. I was in bed for a really long time last night, which is great. I'm not gonna lie. I actually filmed this video late last night. The file got corrupted, so I'm refilming it. So rather than filming it again last night, I was so angry I went to bed. There's some insight into the life of a creator. You've got your heart rate right there. You've got your sleep analysis. It said I've slept an average of 7 hours and 30 minutes over the last 7 days, which is incredible. That's way better than usual. I love that. You can actually see right here, it says in September, I sleep an average of 7 hours and 15 minutes versus August, where I slept an average of 6 hours and 46 minutes. There's a lot of insights here, which are really great and are very, very useful. Obviously, you can go out to like the 6-month graph right here. I don't know what happened in between June and July. I don't know what that little bar is. Maybe I slept, I was traveling overseas. That's what that was. That's cool. That's cool. It shows that. You've got body temperature sensing. You've got a heart rate sensor. You've got obviously step tracking. You've got all the different sensors that you need. There are some new software improvements which are actually making their way to the Apple Watch Ultra 2. So if you already have that, this is not something you need to buy the whole new watch to get. For example, you've got high blood pressure sensing, which will tell you if it thinks you have hypertension or high blood pressure. Of course, you've still got sleep apnea detection if you do use this for sleep tracking and things like that. Now, one thing that I absolutely prefer on the Series 11 versus the Ultra 3 is the form factor when it comes to comfort. I love the way the Ultra looks. It's my favorite look for any smartwatch, and I think I wouldn't want to wear a different smartwatch because I don't like the aesthetics as much as this one. And if I'm wearing it as an accessory, then yeah, I want to go for the Ultra 3. However, when it comes to sleeping and sleep tracking, the Series 11 and the SE3, both of which are getting a full review on my channel, so stay tuned for that. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Feel so much better on your wrist when you're sleeping. There's not these sort of hard edges, these corners and things, this flat side that you have on the Ultra. They're all kind of rounded. They feel like a pebble. When you put them on your wrist, they're smaller, they feel smoother. They just feel better when you're sleeping. They don't get caught in your pillow. This one, you get used to it. I've been wearing this, or at least an Ultra watch, for the last year as my sleep tracker, even more than a year, and I've gotten used to it. It's fine. But I will say that when it comes to comfort, when you're sleeping, these other options are better. And if you're buying an Apple Watch as purely a sleep tracker, you really don't need to buy the Ultra for a lot of different reasons if that's the case. But these are gonna be more comfortable when it comes to sleeping. Now, as I've mentioned already, the Apple Watch Ultra line is specifically designed for the outdoorsy people, the adventurers, the people who wanna go out there and do it. You know what I mean? Or people like myself who don't want to go out there and do it, but instead just want a watch that looks cool and looks more like an actual watch than the Apple Watch does. And because that's who the watch is designed for, it's got all of these extra durability features like the titanium case, or the extra depth rating, or the extra dust rating, or in the case of the Ultra 3, the new satellite connectivity. That's a new feature for any Apple Watch. It's got satellite connectivity, so if you say are hiking in the Grand Canyon, you don't have cell service, you slide down to the bottom or whatever, you can actually hike into the bottom of the Grand Canyon. I went to the Grand Canyon, I didn't do that. I didn't have like 4 days to spare. But if I did and I got lost, if I had the Apple Watch Ultra 3 and I lose cell service, I can use my satellite connectivity and call SOS or rescue services or something like that, which is actually a huge bonus if you are someone who does a lot of hiking off the grid or traveling off the grid. That's actually just a huge plus. Now, to be fair, if you have a newer iPhone, you've already got satellite capability. So if you bring your phone with you everywhere like I do, that's the reason I don't have cellular service on my watch, because I have my phone with me everywhere that I go. You don't really need it, but it is a nice bonus. It is a nice addition. Some other things that I should mention are the fact that the Apple Watch Ultra 3 is on-device Siri, which is great. If you use Siri a lot, you've got it on the device now. You've got gestures like double tap or wrist flick or things like that. Of course, you've got your action button. I've got mine set as a stopwatch. You can set the action button however you want. You've obviously got your standard menu button right here. As someone who likes watches but still wants to have a smart device, the Apple Watch Ultra 3 is the one that I want to have out of all the Apple Watches because it feels the most like a regular watch, and it also does the most. And if I do ever decide to hike the Grand Canyon, I know that I'm good to go with the Apple Watch. If I do decide to try diving for the first time, I can do that with the Apple Watch Ultra 3. Again, these are all aspirational things that I'll probably never do, but it's nice to know that I could do them with my watch. And I feel like 95% of the people who buy this watch are like me and are only buying it because they want the nicest Apple Watch or the watch that looks the best. They're probably not going to be hiking in the Grand Canyon or diving to depths of 40 meters. So know who you are, know what you need, and make a purchasing decision off of that. Speaking of purchasing decisions, let's go through who this watch is actually worth it for. Let me preface this by saying the Apple Watch Ultra 3 is an excellent smartwatch. It's a top-of-the-line smartwatch. It doesn't really get better than this when it comes to smartwatch tech. neck. Now, there are other good smartwatches out there, like the Garmin's, there's, Galaxy watches and things like that. But in my opinion, if you have an iPhone, the Ultra 3, if you're looking for the top of the line smartwatch, is the way to go. But now let's get into the weeds a little bit. Is the Ultra 3 worth it if you already have an Ultra 2? In my honest opinion, no. If it wasn't for making this video, I wouldn't have bought an Apple Watch Ultra 3. I would have stuck with the Ultra 2. While yes, there are improvements like battery life, a better screen, faster charging, a better processor, it's not enough for me to want to spend an extra $800 to upgrade my watch. Now sure, yes, I am trading in this Apple Watch for this Apple Watch, so I get I think it's like a $320 credit, so this is still an expensive watch, but I don't know, honestly, I feel like the Ultra 2 is still a great watch. It still feels new, it still feels usable, it's got all the same sensors. For the stuff that I do, I didn't need to upgrade. Yes, I like the color better, but that was also available on the Ultra 2. I would say if you have an Ultra 2, I don't think it's worth the upgrade for you. I really don't. Now, if you don't have an Ultra 2, if you have an Ultra 1 or maybe no Apple Watch, then yeah, this is definitely worth grabbing. It's $800, it's expensive, but if you want the best of the best, this is the way to go. Now, if you're a bit more budget conscious and you want an Ultra watch, but you don't want to get the Ultra 3 because it's more expensive, I suggest getting a used Ultra 2 or even a new Ultra 2 on sale. I think you could probably find these pretty easily for a couple $100 less than this. So if you want to save a couple $100 and still get a great overall watch, a used Ultra 2 or a new one on sale is a great option. But here's where things get really, really complicated. The Series 11 is an excellent smartwatch, and in a lot of ways, it's got almost all the same features that you've got on the Ultra 3. The Series 11 has the same chip, the S10 chip. It's got the same sensors, at least to my knowledge, so if you're going for health tracking, you really don't need to spend the extra money, and it starts at half the price. It starts at $399. This guy starts at $799. Now, where things get a little bit more complicated is that's for the aluminum 42mm case size, I believe, the smallest case size. So it's gonna be a small watch on your wrist. If you're a woman or someone like me who has small wrists in general, then yeah, maybe the 42mm will work for you. Again, even though I have tiny wrists, I did opt for the 46mm because I just like the larger screen size, I'll be honest with you. But this is still hundreds of dollars less than the Apple Watch Ultra 3. Now, where the differences come in are obviously the design. This watch doesn't look as good in my opinion. It looks like a tech device. It is better for sleeping and it is more comfortable on your wrist, but it doesn't look like a regular watch. And of course, the screen size is 3mm smaller and curved. So if you don't like the curved screen, you don't like the smaller screen, then yeah, you should go for the Ultra because this is the biggest screen that you can get that's not on an Ultra. That being said, when it comes to screen technology, it's an LTPO3 OLED display, so the screen technology is the same. It doesn't get as bright, you don't get up to 3,000 nits of brightness, instead you only get up to 2,000 nits of brightness, but when are you really gonna use all those nits? It's peak brightness. It's really like when you're using the flashlight. That's it. I forgot to mention this when I was talking about the screen, but when it comes to outdoor visibility, these are both great. They're both more than bright enough to see your watch face when you're outside. I wouldn't worry about screen brightness. That shouldn't be a determining factor for you. But this is what really might sway you in one way or another. The Apple Watch Ultra 3 gets around 42 hours worth of in-use battery life, which is incredible. The Series 11 gets basically half. I know it's not exactly half. I know you guys are commenting, it's not half in the comment section down below, but I know that, but it is, think of it, it's close to half. Now, the Series 11 being the Apple Watch really for everyone, there's a lot more options when it comes to case size. There's options when it comes to case material. You've got aluminum, or you can go for titanium. You can go for polished titanium, which looks really, really cool. It really comes down to three things: budget, which watch you like the look of more, and battery life. Those should be your determining factors deciding between the Series 11 and the Ultra 3. I do think the Apple Watch Ultra 3 in general is the best Apple Watch that you can buy and best smartwatch that you can buy. I say that this device is absolutely worth it. But hey, with that being said, let me know your thoughts and your comments in the comment section down below. I'd love to know whether you think the Apple Watch Ultra 3 is worth it, if you have a different Apple Watch, why you picked that one over this one, or whatever the case may be, or if you hate Apple Watches. Let me know all those thoughts, again, in the comment section down below. As always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't yet, and I will see you all in the next one.